Hey, welcome back. I am Cassie Clark, an AI search visibility consultant and host of Found in AI, where we track what's actually happening in AI search so you don't have to spend your whole week doing it yourself. Today is Thursday, July 16th. I'm going to be honest, I have a headache the size of Texas, so we're going to keep this one kind of short today. There are 3 stories I want to cover. One of them is actually really important for how you think about your content strategy going forward. Let's get into it. So the first story is the one that I want to spend the most time on because I think people are going to read the headline, which is Google adds calendar to AI mode and think, wow, cool, I can add a meeting from search. That's not really the story here. Here's what's happened. Google's VP of Product for Search, Robbie Stein, announced on X this week that personal intelligence in AI mode now connects to Google Calendar. So on top of Gmail and Photos, which were already connected, AI mode can now read what's on your schedule and factor that into the answers it gives you. In practice, that might look like you ask AI mode about dinner plans tonight, and if your calendar says you're free at 7, the answer changes. Maybe if you ask it for local restaurants, it might surface different options based on whether you have a work event at 8 o'clock. The engine isn't just answering your question anymore, it's answering your question in the context of your life. That's the important part, and here's what it means for your content strategy. We already had proof that personal context changes AI answers. iPullRank published research in May showing that connecting Gmail to personal intelligence shifted which brands appeared in AI mode responses. So it's the same prompt, but different results just based on what's in someone's inbox. Google adds another variable on top of that. Now, 2 people searching the exact same question or words can get 2 completely different answers based on what's in their email and what's on their calendar. So what does this mean for brands? It means that chasing keywords is even less the point than it used to be. Keywords are what you type in. Context, though, is what the engine knows about you and your customer. And increasingly, the engines know a lot. The brands that win in this environment aren't going to win because they found the perfect 8-word phrase to target. They're going to win because they understand the context in which their buyers are searching. What does their inbox tell Google about the problems they're trying to solve? And maybe even what does your customer's calendar look like when they're evaluating a tool like yours based on the meetings they have on the calendar? You can't optimize for that the way you optimize for a keyword, but you can write content that speaks so specifically to a buyer's situation that even a personalized AI engine recognizes it as the right answer. And you also need to be sending that content out as a newsletter or email blast for another touch with Google systems. Entity authority, or having a strong, consistent, trusted presence across the web, is still the underlying mechanism here, but the expression of that authority has to go deeper now. It's not enough to just be clear, you have to be relevant the exact moment someone's in. I'm going to keep watching how this develops. It's available now in the US, and it's rolling out to more countries in the near future. Okay, moving on to the next update I need to tell you about. SC Ranking published a big study this week, 50,000 commercial keywords analyzed across 20 niches, and the headline number is that ads now appear in about 29% of commercial AI mode queries. That's nearly 1 in 3. Now, there are a few things that stand out with this data. First, CPC is the best predictor of ad presence. Keywords with a cost per click above $10 show ads in 54% of cases. Under $2, about 24%. So the engine is placing ads where commercial intent is already signaled, and it's not spreading them evenly across the board. If you want to know whether AI mode ads are going to show up against your keywords, sort it by CPC. High CPC is your early warning sign that, hey, an ad's going to be there. Second, buying an ad in AI mode does not help you get cited as a source. SC Ranking found that in 88% of cases, the advertiser's domain wasn't among the sources that AI mode cited in its actual answer. The ad is just, simply an ad. The citation is a completely separate decision based on authority and content, not ad spend. I think some brands are probably going to test AI mode ads and expect it to lift their organic AI visibility. Not sure that it will. These are parallel systems that happen to share the same screen. Paid and organic are decoupled in AI mode the way that they've always been in traditional search, maybe even more so. Third, if you operate in lead gen verticals like pets, entertainment, business, that kind of thing, ads are showing up at dramatically higher rates than informational or YMYL verticals. Healthcare was under 3%, pets was over 72%. So I'm going to say it again. You have to know your niche and then build your expectations around that. The bigger picture here, though, is that AI mode went from 0 ads to 30% of commercial queries in under a year. Whatever the number is today is probably the floor, not the ceiling, so we're likely going to see more of those. Now, the third thing I need to tell you about is a bit more technical, and it's interesting in a John Mueller says one thing, but the official docs say something slightly different, in a way that's worth knowing about. Google has been, can we say inconsistent, for a hot minute now, so I want to tell you about this one. So the short version is that Google's documentation on the A/B testing has long warned that running tests for, quote, unnecessarily long time, end quote, could be interpreted as an attempt to deceive search engines. The guidance specifically calls out running tests where one variation gets served to a larger percentage of users for too long. This week, though, John Mueller answered a question on Bluesky about long-term holdouts, think 6 to 12 month A/B test on large-scale sites, and he basically said there's no penalty for having varying content. Google will index whichever version it crawls, and if the variations are close enough, then it probably doesn't really matter that much. That's a softer stance than the written guidance implies. Now, what does this actually mean? Well, if you're running controlled tests on page content to see which version gets cited in AI engines, which, by the way, is a totally valid experiment, Google's own support for that kind of testing seems reasonably stable as long as you're not doing something deceptive. Use canonical tags, use 302 redirects, not 301s, keep the same content visible to Googlebot that you're showing to users. The official guidance is still there. Mueller's comment is maybe just a reality check on how strictly that's enforced. If you were thinking about this from an AI search angle specifically, varying content across page versions does make it a little bit more difficult to build consistent entity signals. That's not about Google penalties, it's just about the fact that AI engines reward consistency. So if you are doing any kind of A/B testing in terms of AI search visibility with Google, use the same terminology, the same clear structure, the same authoritative framing across every version of your content. If you're A/B testing messaging, keep the structural and entity signal stable, even if the surface copy changes. That's it for today. A quick summary before I close this out and go find some Tylenol and caffeine for this headache. And hopefully that will work today. Google Calendar in AI mode means personalization just got another layer deeper. And that's the signal that you really need to know your customer's context, not just their keywords. So I've said it before, I'll say it again. It's time to get really nosy with your customers. AI mode ads hit 1 in 3 commercial queries, and CPC is the best predictor, but buying an ad doesn't help you get cited. It's the same with those ChatGPT ads that we talked about way back in January and February. Those are two separate games. So either we can spend the money on the ads or we can just work on being the answer. And finally, Google's A/B testing guidance is softer in practice than it appears on paper, which is good news if you're experimenting with page content to optimize for AI visibility. I'm Cassie Clark, an AI search visibility consultant. If you want to know how you're actually showing up across ChatGPT, Perplexity, Gemini, and all of Google's AI engines right now, before you build any of this into your strategy, that's what an AI search visibility audit is for. The link is in the show notes, or you can find more information at CassieClarkMarketing.com. I will see you on Tuesday. Until then, stay visible.